Hey there, fellow painters! Welcome back to another one of our much beloved portrait breakdown videos. Okay, these are videos in which I show you guys, exactly how I go about painting portraits. Specifically, portraits like these, right? But I'm breaking it down so that you, even at like a beginner level, or as someone who's maybe never even painted a portrait before in your whole life, can start to see, just start, you guys, to see and feel what it's like and what it takes to actually make a picture of somebody's face, right? And if you are a beginner painter who is interested in painting portraits for yourself, I do have a total online how to paint a portrait for total beginners course. It is on my online Canvas Academy platform. We will chat more about that at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But I just wanted to mention that because today's video breakdown is actually going to be about a painting that we do in that course. And of course, the portrait, as you probably already know, is going to be of Elvis Presley, the one, the only, the king of rock and roll, right? So all you Elvis fans out there, get excited, get excited. So to show you this breakdown, I'm going to bring you over to my laptop here, and I'm going to show you, this is a time-lapse video. Again, this is a class that I teach in that How to Paint a Portrait for Beginners course, but this is just a very, very sped up version of that full class, just so you start to get the picture what we actually do in that class. The whole class, I believe, it's not quite 2 hours long, but it's about an hour and a half to an hour, 45-ish minutes. I don't remember, I'd have to look, but this is a minute long time-lapse video, so this is, you know, a very, very sped up version of that class. I don't want you to think that this is the whole class and that if you go to join that course and to take that class, that this is what you're going to see over there, because you will see the entire full-length, in-depth video where I take you step by step through painting absolutely everything. But I just wanted to give you a preview here and to kind of talk about how, again, we go about painting portraits, okay? So we're going to get started here with the video from Canvas Academy, of course. So before we even get started with the painting, I want you to notice we've already got our sketch all ready to go. Now, in that painting course, I give you the sketch files for absolutely every painting we do, okay, including this full Elvis portrait. So you don't have to worry about making the sketch or anything. But of course, when you go to do portraits on your own, right, say you've already taken the course with me and you're ready to do portraits on your own, you will need to make your own sketch, okay? And the best way I can recommend to do that is by tracing, right? Tracing the outline of your sketch based on a reference photo that you have. Whatever photo you're going to be working with to make your portrait, use that. And don't feel, you guys, like I've said in other videos, it's not, you're not being lazy. You're not being unprofessional by tracing. It's totally fine. Professionals do it all the time. I do it all the time, okay? This is what I typically do, because when I have a lot of portraits that I've got to get done for my Etsy shop and stuff, I got to get rolling, right? I got to get right to painting. I don't have time to sit and draw freehand an entire sketch for my portrait paintings. No, what I typically like to do is I like to trace them, okay? And a couple of different ways you can go about tracing them. What I used to do, and I recommend for beginners, is use a screen, like this laptop screen here, right? Pull up your photo on that screen, crop it, make it as big as you can on the screen, put a paper over top the screen, and literally just trace the photo from there, okay? You can also do that with like a tablet if you have like a really big phone. I know phone screens are not typically that big, you know, big enough to trace for this like size, like an 8x10 of a portrait. But that is one way. Another way that you can trace to get your sketch going is that if you were to print out a copy of your reference photo, like full size, whatever size you're going to be painting, print out the photo that size, and then you can put another piece of paper on top of the printed photo from there. Maybe hold it up to the light if you can't see through, or put it on like a light box or something if you've got that. And then from there you can trace the outline that you see in the photo. And another way, and this is the way I actually do it now, is I have a projector so that especially for my large scale like Miss Monroe over here. I will upload my photo and use my projector screen to project it, the photo onto the canvas or whatever surface I'm working with. Sometimes it can get a little bit warped with the projector, but you know, I've done it enough now and practiced with it that that's another good way that I find that you can get a sketch going really easily. But most people don't have an at-home movie projector like that, so do what you can. My best recommendation is just to trace based on a screen, right? Just put your paper on a screen, pull up the photo you're going to be using, and just trace from there. But anyway, in this class and in this whole course, I give you all the sketch files, so you don't have to worry about doing that at all. Like I said, most people just print out the sketch files and then you're ready to go and get ready to get started painting. So as we get started here with the actual painting process, I want you to also notice that this portrait is in grayscale, right? It's in black and white. So we only have grayscale on our painting palette. And of course we mixed that before the video even started. We mixed that before class. I don't think I showed us mixing that in here. Yeah, we just get started painting in the video. But in the full class, we do go through how to mix each of these colors up to get your white tone, your black tone, and a couple of shades of gray in between. Because painting in black and white, you guys, and I always say this, for beginners, that is the easiest way to get started with a portrait painting, right? Because then you don't have to worry about different colors, like all the million different colors that might be skin tones, hair colors, eye colors, even lip colors, you know, every part of the face that can have like a million different tones of color to it. You don't have to worry about that when we're working in black and white, right? Because then we can just focus on, you know, is it dark gray or is it light gray? You know, that's basically what it's going to be then. We eliminate the color aspect, not completely because we're still working with different shades of gray, different gray tones, but when we eliminate that color part of the equation, if you will, then all that's left is working with actually painting the parts of the face and to make them look realistic, right? You know what I'm saying? The forms, the different shapes that we've got going on in the face. That's all we have to worry about then. We don't have to worry about that added element of color, which is an element of art, literally. So we don't have to worry about that element at all. Now, you'll also notice that we're starting off with the eyes first. This is what I recommend. This is what I do. This is what I teach in that course too, that we do the eyes first. And typically with the eyes, even with, you know, breaking down the face, I like to do one part of the face at a time, especially when I'm working with beginners and teaching you guys this. That I like to teach you to just focus on one part at a time. So like, for example, we focused on the left eye first. Now we're moving over to the right eye, but you know, if we back it up a little bit, we did this left eye first, right? That's one tiny little piece. It looks so small in comparison to the whole portrait, but we really just got to focus on one thing at a time. Mainly so we don't get overwhelmed. Quite frankly, because it happens to the best of us, right? I've gotten overwhelmed by paintings many a time, and I've learned over time that just the best way to conquer that and, you know, move past that kind of fear of being overwhelmed with your painting is just break it down. Just break it down into simple steps, right? One step at a time, and then within each of those steps, like left eye is step number 1. Within that, we've got even more steps to do, like, for example, the whites of the eye, like the eyeball, we do the eyeball first, right? That's step 1, and within that whole, those are micro steps, right? Within this whole left eye, we do that as step 1. Step 1.1, I don't know, step 1A. Step 1B is to do, like, the iris of the eye. Step 1C is outline the iris of the eye. Then from there, fill in the pupil, you know, add in any highlights if you've got extra highlights going on there. Right, so we break it up further into even more steps. Like step 1 is the eye, okay. But then from there, let's not get overwhelmed with the whole eye at once. Let's break it down even further, okay. Very, very important. Very important advice. Write that down if you need to. But then, of course, we went on to do the second eye over here, and just the exact same way, right? We did left eye first, right eye second, and then within that right eye, to not get overwhelmed by the whole eye at once, we take it one step at a time, right? Just do the eyeball, then we do the iris, which is like the colored part of the eye, and then the pupil, we kind of outline it, and then add like a little white dot if there's a white dot that we can see there. That's all it is, right? Now from there, for this painting class in particular, I did this on purpose. Sir Elvis is looking slightly away from us, so we really don't see half of his face, right? Half his face is looking, you know, the other way. So we only have like half of the face to really worry about. That makes it easier on our part. So because of that, typically when I teach how to paint a portrait, and in that portrait painting course, is to do things in a certain order, like eyes, then the mouth, then the nose, then the rest of the skin, and then the hair, and so on and so forth. Then like the shirt if there's a shirt or something involved. However, in this class, I did things a little bit differently because we didn't really see this half of the face. I just decided to teach everybody to go on and do around this left eye before we even move on to the mouth, just to get it out of the way, right? So we did this skin that's kind of like shadowed. It's like behind the nose. And then we added like some highlights where we saw. We were also working off of a reference photo in this class. And of course, you'll see that as well if you do decide to join the full course and the full class. We did work with a reference photo so that you could see, you know, what we were basing this whole painting off of, basically. Now from there, we did a little bit of the eyelashes and stuff around. I mean, he's a guy, doesn't have super long, you know, beautiful eyelashes, but he still does have some eyelashes, and especially in this photo, especially since he was looking away from us, they kind of protruded like off of the page, well, onto the background of the page a little bit. And then I came over here, well, we come here as a class, we come over to this right eye. We did kind of the skin around the eye, just to get it going a little bit first. And then from there, you know, outline the eye and just add a little bit of eyelashes, not a whole lot. And then a crease to denote the eyelid. But like I said, I don't typically teach doing like the skin around the eyes right away. Like I said, typically we just do the eyes, then we do the mouth, and then we do the nose, and then we might come back and do that skin around the eyes. But just for simplicity for this class specifically, it was easier to go in that order. So, but then from there, of course, yes, we come down to do the mouth. The mouth is very easy in this class. It's just because he's looking away, again, we only see half of the mouth, really, half of the lips. So there's less surface area to cover, less to worry about, right? But again, there are some highlights and lowlights in there that we pay attention to. Like in this upper lip, it's kind of this medium gray, and then we've got like a light gray highlight on the top of the lip. The bottom lip, it's kind of the same way. Kind of darker towards the middle of the lip, and then like towards the bottom of the lip, it gets a little bit lighter. And then of course a little, kind of a thicker line to separate the two lips. Just like that. And then of course, like I said, next we typically, okay, we're going really fast here. Go on to do the nose next. And then when we do the nose, just like we said, you know, like breaking up the eyes, we did the eyes first, and then, you know, eyes one step at a time so we don't get overwhelmed by the whole eye. We did the same thing down here with the mouth too, if we even back it up to see that. Just so you really get this concept of really breaking things down, because down here we did like the top lip first. That's step 1. Step 2, bottom lip. Step 3, separate the two lips with that, you know, thin line that kind of comes in between the lips. Right? And then that's it. So that then when we move on to do the nose, we do the exact same thing. We just break it up like step 1, you know, step 1 is the nostril, right? This like dark nostril, right? Step 2, we do this like kind of crease on the outside of the nose. Again, this photo is kind of unique because he is looking away, so we only see half of the nose. Typically we would be doing both sides of the nose, right? But this time we don't get overwhelmed by having two halves of the nose to work with. We only have to work with one half. So from there we kind of go like around this curve of the nose, and then the next step, just fill all the rest of the nose in, right? And then from there we add highlights and lowlights on the nose. That's like the next step, right? Again, breaking things down into like micro manageable steps. Now from there, again, because this was kind of a unique picture and he was looking away from us, we just gone ahead and fill in what we can see of that left side of the face. Pretty dark shadow. And then we do the chin. Nice highlight on the chin there. And from there we come like the upper lip. And then we come up here to the forehead. See, again, breaking things down step by step, one step at a time. We've got like a nice shadow here on the side of the face. Again, you can see probably by now that this whole left side of the face is pretty dark because again, he's looking away from us. So there's like a shadow casted that way. And again, we would see that in the reference photo as well that we were looking at in this class. And then where there's typically a shadow on one side of whatever you're painting, in this case, the face, the whole face has a really dark shadow on this side, then typically there's going to be a really light highlight on the other side, right? It balances out contrast, right? So then when we've got this whole shadow on this left side of the face, over here on like this right side of the forehead and stuff, there's going to be a nice white highlight, which is probably where the light is hitting his face in the actual reference photo too. And then of course we come down here, we've got a little bit, we can do underneath the chin, and of course there was a little bit of a crease line here just for like around the mouth. Not really a dimple, but you know, sometimes those lines, even if you're not smiling, sometimes we see those lines there. And then underneath the chin, the cheek, nice highlight. We haven't even done the eyebrows yet. We waited to do the eyebrows until just about last in this class. But over here we're doing an ear. Ears are something else, let me tell you. They're actually quite simple though. Ears are just a bunch of lines, really, in the picture. It's just painting a bunch of different lines of alternating colors, alternating shades of gray. That's really all it is. It's nothing too complicated. Again, just look at whatever reference photo you're working with, right? In this class, we look at our reference photo that we're working with to figure out how to actually go about painting the ear. But when you paint portraits on your own, make sure you're looking at your own reference photo. And if you can, even, I recommend if you've got like a digital version of your photo, like on your phone, computer, tablet, whatever, pull it up and see if you can pinch and zoom to whatever area of the face you're working on. I like doing that because then in that case, if you're not sure to how to go about actually painting the ear, you could just zoom in to that part, the ear, in your reference picture, like on your phone or whatever, and then you can see it up close and you can see what it actually looks like in real life. And you can say, oh, there's like this dark line that goes like this here. There's like this dark line that goes like this here. There's like this light area in between, you know what I'm saying? So that then you can just kind of fill it in. And don't worry too much about, like I told my students in this class, don't worry too much about what the ear looks like. Because when someone looks at your portrait, they're not going to be, their attention is not immediately going to go to the ear, right? That's just an added little bonus area in the face, right? The main focus of the face is the face itself, right? The ear, it's not really part of the face. It's just a little bit of extra skin pouch grown off the side of your head. That's all it is, really. So just a couple of different areas, like alternating dark and light, just a couple of different lines in there. Just throw all those lines together, really. And that's good enough, right? And then of course down here with the neck, same thing. Don't worry too much about the neck and making it super detailed. If you can't see the neck at all in your portrait, it's not the main focus of the picture, right? The main focus is the face. That's why you should start with the face first. Put all your attention and all your energy into that first, because after a while, after it's been an hour and a half of working, you might get a little bit tired, let's be honest. And once you get to the ear and the neck, you might not feel like being super detailed, and that's okay, because you got the main details out of the way first. At least that's my philosophy anyway. But anyway, then we went on to do the eyebrows. We did do the eyebrows, just filled them in pretty dark. And then from there, the hair. Now for this, I know that looks a little bit weird, but the way I taught doing this hair, the hair is actually very, very easy to you guys. Not nearly as detailed as the face. It's very, very simple. I took a larger brush here. And what we did in this class is with the larger brush, we take some areas where there's some highlights. Whoa, go back. Okay. Where there's some like highlighted areas in the hair in our reference photo, we kind of went around the edges of the face and like just the outline of the hair in general. We went and did some like dabbing, because that was kind of the texture of the hair, was kind of dabbed on there. I mean, that's just kind of how the hair looked right up next to the face, is just a little bit kind of wavy almost. So getting that, like doing that dab texture is really good for curly and like super tight wavy hair, or if it is, again, pressed up next to the face, just to dab it a little bit. Just gets you a little bit of added texture, like the texture of hair. So we did like dabbing some light gray here, light to medium gray here at least, and then around the ear as well. And then like I think there was some on the back of the head. Yes, down here. Now everywhere else where there wasn't really like a highlight, we just took the raw umber and we just did the same thing and just dabbed it all around. Let's go back here. Okay, now it's going too fast. We dabbed it all around the edges because it's just a little bit easier. Just another little tip here. It's just easier to kind of outline the area that you're going to fill in. So we were going to fill in all the hair anyway, but it's a little bit easier just to outline the area first so that when you fill it in, you don't have to worry about going outside the lines, right? Because your lines are already outlined for you. So that then from there, you can just fill it all in, right? And we filled it all in with that dark gray, the raw umber there. Just like that. And then I don't know from there, yes. Then from there, we added some more highlights because Mr. Elvis has some nice wisped back hair on the top. We wanted to recreate that look of the wisping, you know, slicked back almost hair look. So to do that, again, with the larger brush, we took some of the lighter gray and we just did this wisping motion in the direction that the hair was being wisped back, right? So just in the direction of the hair, make sure you take your brush and just try to recreate what you see in your reference photo, right? If it's someone who's got like straight, smooth hair like me, right? If someone's hair is just like straight and kind of flat, then take your brush and do that like straight, smooth motion with your brush on the page, right? In the direction that the hair is going. If somebody has really tight curls, then take your brush and kind of dab it into like little circular motions all over in the hair to get that tight, curly texture. And if you've got hair like Elvis does here, that it's kind of wisped, I can't say that word, wisped back, slicked back maybe, I don't know, slicked back, then just slick your brush across the page in the direction that the hair is going. And then after that, we added some more like lowlights on top of that. On top of those highlights, we did, again, slicking the brush over the page in that same direction. And then from there, we just filled in the collar, super duper easy. Just basically filling it in with black and then adding a couple of highlights. If we go back, so you can see the finished result, which is also here on the wall, just saying. But again, this whole video that I just showed you is part of, it's a little sneak peek at the Elvis, How to Paint Elvis class that is part of my How to Paint Portraits for Beginners course on Canvas Academy. And in that course, you'll not only find this class on how to paint Elvis, but you'll also find another class on how to paint another, hint hint, very famous face. But aside from that, we also start way in the beginning of the course. These full portrait classes, you guys, are towards the end of the course. So before you even reach these classes, you're going to learn some really important skills that you need to have to make full portraits like this. I'm not just gonna throw you right into painting a portrait of Elvis right away, right? We take things really, really slowly and you build up to that level. So like in the first few classes, we work on just painting eyes. In another class, we work on just painting mouths, then just painting noses, then just painting hair. And then from there, we start bringing all the pieces together a little bit. And again, you're going to get lots and lots of practice in the course before you actually make it to the end to make the lovely, the king, Elvis Presley. So I really would be honored to teach you all in that course over there if you haven't taken it already. And if you have taken it already, I look forward to painting with you more on Canvas Academy. And I just want to wish you all very happy painting. And thank you very much.